We're at the very beginning of the month of May, so it's time for me to produce another update video in which I talk about what went on during April and what we've got coming up in May for those who are interested. As usual, I want to begin by highlighting three big things, one of which is not actually about May itself, although some of it is going to happen in May, but really extends further into the year. So, big thing number one, this is a really big thing for us here at Reason.io and for myself. We started our first Aristotle class, Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, offered online yesterday on the 1st. And why this is really big news is I've taught for a lot of institutions, and some of them have been traditional colleges and universities. Some of them have been online platforms that are engaged in innovation. This is the first one that we're actually offering for ourselves, through ourselves, on our own. Just myself and my wife and partner, Andy Shaka, who are the principals of Reason.io. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, I guess, when we get to the May section. Second big thing that I want to put on your radar, if you're in the Milwaukee area, or even in southeastern Wisconsin at all, you might want to consider coming to my lecture tomorrow night at the Frank Weinberg Library in Mequon. I'm going to be talking about St. Anselm, somebody who I've published a lot on and done a lot of presentations on over the years. And I'm talking about his place in historical context. So I'm going to be talking about his own works and life in the light of what was going on in Europe at the time, which includes, among other things, the Norman conquest of England and the after effects of that. The third big thing is that you can look in this month for some important announcements that will be coming out. As a matter of fact, one of them should be coming out this weekend about Stoicon, which is the conference for International Stoic Week. This year it's actually going to be hosted in New York City. I'm going to be one of the speakers. I'll actually be doing a pretty long workshop on Stoicism and anger and how you can apply Stoic principles to deal with anger, whether your own or other people's in your life. So look for those announcements. There's a lot of back-end work that has to happen in order to make these things take place on the right date, way off in October. So we're already engaged in a lot of planning right now. So what went on in the month of April that we've just gotten through? I thought it was actually going to be a relaxed month. Didn't turn out to be quite like that. In part because I was comparing it to March, where I did 4 or 5 talks. I think 5, if I remember right. I only had one talk lined up for April, and that was the talk on C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy in the Philosophy and Speculative Fiction series, hosted at the Brookfield Public Library here in the southeastern Wisconsin area. I also did a half-hour Hegel Q&A session, public Q&A session through Google Hangouts. I do that monthly as a way of giving back, since people are, in fact, supporting me through Patreon to do these half-hour Hegel videos. But the month turned out to be a lot busier than I had expected. One thing that's kind of cool that happened is I'm now booked for giving some more library talks. In March, I gave a talk at the Shorewood Public Library on Mary Wollstonecraft, and I gave a talk at the Wauwatosa Public Library on existentialism. Both of them have, great attendance, and they said, we'd love to have you come back. So I've arranged to get some things on the calendar with them, one in July, one in September. The goal is to have no more than 2 of these talks each month and not have them pile up like they did in March. So that's cool. I spent a lot of the month building the Aristotle class that I'm now teaching. There's a lot of back-end work that goes into designing online courses, and so that's what I've been involved in. It's been a lot of fun because I enjoy talking about and thinking about and producing resources on Aristotle. I've also been continuing to work on the anger management curriculum for priority thinking. Things have gone through a lot of iterations, and we feel that we're now getting fairly close to a finished product, which is really cool. Stoicism Today, since taking over as editor in March, I've been soliciting pieces and editing and sending some back to the people and saying, not quite what we're looking for. Can you tweak it a bit? I've also written a piece starting a new series that I'm going to be continuing month to month on the Stoics and anger. I think that's an important topic that they can help us out with quite a bit. I did quite a bit of philosophical counseling and tutoring, some academic coaching, some executive coaching, so a lot of client stuff. A lot of carried out by some face-to-face, some by Skype, some by phone. It's quite a lot to do, but I really enjoy that work. I did get some writing done, not as much as I would have liked, and particularly not as much as I would have liked in my blogs, which I had started to gain some momentum back with, and now I've got to start pushing the cart a bit more forward. So hopefully in May. I did also manage to get some back-end website stuff done as well that needed to be done for Reason.io and with YouTube. Finally got those two, WordPress and YouTube, to play together right. They don't make it that easy to figure out exactly how that's supposed to be done, but I did it. And so now I can start integrating those a bit more closely so that people who are watching a video can, find out about what services we offer on Reason.io that might support their learning. Video work. I only managed to shoot 5 half-hour Hegel videos. I actually shot footage for more, but I didn't shoot all of the footage that's needed for the last video, and so I'm just waiting on some time to do that. I did start doing the core concept videos on St. Anselm's Monologion, and quite a few people have been enjoying those. Anselm takes you through some real twists and turns of argumentation. Did a video that I released a video that I had done earlier for my Patreon subscribers, Patreon backers, rather, and I released it publicly on the process of producing half-hour Hegel videos, and it gives you a little inside look into how I make the videos and what's involved in video production in general. I also released the video from the talk in Virginia, at Virginia Commonwealth University, What Can Analytic and Continental Philosophers Learn from Each Other, which was shot on the 31st, but then released a bit later. And there's the video of the C.S. Lewis session at the Brookfield Public Library as well. What have we got coming up in May? May is going to be a pretty busy month. I'm trying to get ahead of things for once, in part because during the summer there's a lot of family things that go on that can consume quite a bit of time. So I want to try to get as much done ahead of time as possible rather than simply scrambling. Got 3 events coming up during May that you may be interested in. Like I said at the very start, I've got a talk on Anselm, the church, and the Norman conquest. That is going to be, I think, a lot of fun to do, and hopefully I'll get some really great questions. It's a topic that I've been, thinking about for a very long time because I'm a big fan of St. Anselm. That is May 3rd at 6 o'clock at the Frank Weinberg Library in Mequon. The week after that, we have another one of these speculative fiction and philosophy talks at the Brookfield Public Library, May 10th at 7 o'clock. That's a Thursday night. And then we have our half-hour Hegel question and answer hangout, free, open to the public. Any sort of Hegel-related issues or questions confusions that you want to bring up, I will tackle them. That is May 25th on a Wednesday, 5 o'clock Central Time. Or Chicago time if you're looking at it, through one of those international drop-down menus. That runs for an hour, so you want to get there at 5 o'clock, and we give precedence to those who have questions ready. What else is going on in May? Quite a lot. So I'm teaching the Aristotle course, which we have about 3/4 enrolled, which is pretty good because we didn't really do much in the way of advertising. I just shot a YouTube video and put some stuff up on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and LinkedIn even this time. But we've got a lot of really committed learners, great discussions already going on. We held our first introductory class session yesterday. And so there's all of that. I'm developing a lot of resources for this course, many of which have already been done, some of which I'm still in the process of developing. Working on the anger management curriculum for priority thinking. Like I said, that is actually, we're in sort of the last iterations of that. We're very happy with that. And as the editor of Stoicism Today, I've got a lot of work to do with that, with some organizational things, with soliciting more blog posts from guest writers, with coordinating all of the stuff that's going on in terms of Stoicon and the Stoic mindfulness and resilience training and the Stoic Week course, all those things. Although I'm not myself, thankfully, having to organize them, all of those need to be publicized in Stoicism Today. So I work with the project team to do that sort of stuff. I'll also be writing some posts. You should probably see maybe one a month by me in this series on Stoicism and anger. This month, I'm also going to try to build out more content in Curious, which is that platform that I've already created several mini courses in. We're also getting another longer course through Reason.io ready to run in the early summer, probably in mid-June after the Aristotle course is done. That is going to be Plato's Symposium, which I taught before. Quite a few students really enjoyed the course, got a lot out of it. So I'll be talking a bit about that later in the month. Maybe I'll shoot a video on it, or anyway, keep your eyes open because I'm going to be publicizing that course. So if you're interested in studying Plato's Symposium with somebody who has been reading it and rereading it for about 20 years, maybe you might consider that course. Lots of marketing and outreach stuff that I need to do. There's a number of different sectors of places where I could be giving talks, and people have been giving me recommendations. You need to talk to this person, and I need to really get on that. It's not something that I am particularly enthused about doing. I'm much more interested in content and one-on-one conversations. But if you're somebody like me who does a lot of public speaking, it really is quite important to get out there and start sending press kits and inquiries and all that to organizations in the area. So that's part of what I'll be doing this month. Some academic writing. I've got to get a piece that I've got more or less done on Anselm finished, on Anselm prayer and mercy and justice. I've got a lot of Aristotle writing to do in addition to getting ready for a conference presentation that I'll be doing in June on Aristotle, Acrasia, and anger. I'm also working on a book right now, a short book on Aristotle and the virtues that I will probably end up self-publishing. One of the perks of the students who are enrolled in the Aristotle classes, they're going to get first look at that and a free copy of it once it's finished. A little bit of writing I've got to do on Marcel as well, and I'm hoping to get some more blog entries written and released this month on at least Orexis Dianoetike and Half Hour Hegel, because that's something that I want to keep going. Video work. So I've got my normal quota of 6 half-hour Hegel videos to try to get done. I'm going to be continuing the Anselm core concept videos. We're really only about halfway through the material of the monologion that I want to try to cover. And after that, we're going to do the proslogion. And after that, we're going to do his De Veritate, or On Truth, which is a very interesting work. You should see some videos from the talks, the talk on Anselm and the talk on Asimov coming out. And I'm also shooting, although you're not going to see these this month, but probably later in the summer, a lot of new Aristotle core concept videos for the Aristotle course. Last week, I shot 20 core concept videos on Aristotle. 20. That's a lot of video work. So that's been keeping me quite busy. I still have, I would estimate, probably another 30 that I will be shooting over the course of this month, some of them this week, but I'm not going to be releasing them until after the Aristotle course has finished. My students get first crack at those videos, and after all of the Anselm work is done. So you'll see those later on in the summer. That's pretty much it for May. Doesn't sound like too much, does it? And yeah, we've got, like I said, a lot of interesting projects going on here. I'm very fortunate in that I am never bored. There's always more than enough work for me to do. And I will probably never have to think about retirement, because there's always going to be more and more work to come down the line. The only problem is I can't get it all done, or done to my specifications. All right, so that's enough for this month. I hope that you have a good month ahead of May. And if you're interested, like I was talking about with the marketing and talks, if you're interested in talking with me about booking a talk or a workshop or a discussion or anything along those lines, go ahead and email me at greg@reasonio.com, and I'll be happy to discuss it. We've got some cool stuff happening towards the fall in terms of talks, but I'll talk about that more in other videos. All right, so signing off. Have a great month.